countdown on for this moment since about 2015 when you won that IMAF title. I mean, how does it feel to finally be here? I mean, I'm sure you've pictured this in your head a million times. How does it feel to be finally here at UFC London?
Yeah, it felt like it'd never come. I think this is the third UFC London that I've been scheduled to fight on. So third time's the charm, as they say. But I can't wait. Crowds are back. Hometown-ish crowd for me. I know the English will get behind me as well. But yeah, just busting to feel our atmosphere again.
I know the Welsh fans are some of the best in the world. I've managed to see in
The best.
I see the Ice Arena once upon a time. I'm imagining there's a strong contingent travelling to see this event.
Yeah, probably at least 1,000. And you know yourself, if there's 100 Welsh, just sound like there's 10,000 of them. So there'll be plenty of Welsh flags, red t-shirts, plenty of noise. But I can't wait for them to come down and experience it. You know, three of my 4 fights have been behind closed doors. The one that was in Copenhagen, I took a couple of hundred, but I think this one's going to be a different kettle of fish again. So I'm looking forward to being back in front of a crowd and having some rowdy Welsh here as well.
I draw a lot of parallels between you and Tom because both of you have your fathers in your corner, and of course, Shaky, huge part of the Welsh scene. Do you take on board how much a moment like this means to him, not only you, ahead of these fights, or is that something you kind of have to block out until afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, afterwards is more of I sit back and look at it, and you know, there's pictures floating about. I was a chubby little teenager at one point, so there was probably plenty of people in Appley Town that didn't think, you know, me and him would be fighting in front of 20,000 and at the O2 Arena. But yeah, I try and block it out as much as I can beforehand. I know he can get a little bit overwhelmed and stuff for the fight, so I don't want to put any extra pressure on him. But yeah, it's a massive achievement for both of us. You know, we come from a small town in the Welsh Valleys. We used to train under a nightclub cellar. You know, now we've got this massive facility, and I'm in a position where I'm going to move on to fight the best guys in the world. So it'll make hell of a book or hell of a film in 10, 15 years.
Final one, there's those iconic pictures of the haircut you once had at the prom back in the day. How much did it take for you to shave your head here? I'd imagine it was a very difficult process for you.
To be honest, I've had a lot of messages asking me to bring that cut back. I've had people changing their profile pictures to my prom picture this week, and people sharing it on Facebook, and I did make a promise that I probably shouldn't have made after the last fight. I will bring it back for one fight, maybe my retirement fight. If I can still grow hair at the time, I'll get the big blonde wig back.
Paul Craig was just in here, and he was kind of saying when he fought Jamal Hill and he beat him, he got a lot of messages from his team saying thank you, because at the time he was undefeated, and then he felt defeat for the first time. You're obviously in that camp where you haven't tasted defeat yet in your professional career. So do you agree with that statement that you can't really grow to your full potential without tasting defeat inside the octagon?
You know, Joe Calzaghe and Floyd Mayweather, they done pretty well on undefeated records. You know, I wouldn't argue with Joe that he didn't reach his full potential because he was undefeated. You know, there's lessons within every fight, win, lose or draw. You got to be real in this sport. One punch, or you zig when you should have zagged, and you can pick up a loss. So I'm a realist, and I know you can pick up a loss easily in this game. But at the same time, you know, Calzaghe did it, Mayweather did it. I got a long way to go before I'm on their level yet, but why can't I do it?
Then your opponent, obviously high-level grappler too, doesn't have a lot of submission victories, but yeah, I believe he's also a master in Sambo and all that kind of stuff over in Russia. So how would you compare your MMA grappling inside the octagon?
I think my MMA grappling is arguably some of it, or if not the best in the world. I don't think there's many, especially in the division, that mix in their ground and pound how I do. You know, I've come up from 10 years of age of every grappling technique or session I've been involved in. There's always been that background thought of we got to make this relevant for MMA, whether you're on the back or on top. So, you know, as good as he is, and he is a very good grappler, I'm sure you don't just get a master of combat in Sambo or whatever it's called. You know, if you're a scrub. So he's obviously very good, but I just feel like, you know, that area of my game is elite level, and if he does want to mix it on the ground, then I think, you know, I'll be able to show that to everyone.
And finally, did you ever get an explanation why Umar pulled out of your initial booking, Umar Nurmagomedov?
We just got told that he couldn't make it into London.
Oh.
You know, it was all within one text. I had a text to say, Umar's out, he can't get to London, you're fighting Valiev. So, being how we are, I was like, all right, just send me another contract then.
Jack, just at the back here. You know, in your last fight, you had to go through changes of opponents. So when you heard that Umar was out of this one, what was your reaction?
It wasn't so bad with this one because it wasn't 10 days before like a lot of the others. I mean, we hadn't even started camp at this stage, so it was a little bit oh, here we go again. But thankfully Timur has even with all that's going on in the world, has managed to obviously get over here, and it's fight week now. I hope that's wood, touch wood, he doesn't pull out, and I get to fight a guy who I was scheduled to fight from 10 weeks ago. But I'm sure me and Umar will meet down the line. Both undefeated, both look like we're on our way to the top. So it'll happen at some point. It'll just be a bigger fight, maybe a main event in Wales or Russia. Who knows?
How do you compare the two matchups?
I think they're very different. Umar's obviously a very strong grappler. He's got that Khabib mauling style. No doubt Timur can obviously grapple, but I think he prefers to stand and strike. The camp he comes from, you see that similar style with a lot of the guys over there. So they're both very good, but they're both very different. You couldn't game plan for one the same as the other. They're very different.
And having to switch up opponents, kind of getting used to that, has that taught you anything about yourself?
Yeah, it's taught me that I can't mentally be broken by external factors. I've had guys pull out on 5 days' notice. I've had opponent changes in cage where I was at 1 day's notice, and even back to my pro debut, I had a change of opponent the morning of the fight. So I know I'm very mentally strong, and it's just taught me to sort of focus on myself in fight camp. You gotta know your opponent's strengths and weaknesses, but you focus too much on one guy and they pull the rug from under you at the last minute, then it's no good. So as much as I'm aware of what he does well, I just focus on myself and getting better and being in the best condition and the best, technically that I can be.
And how do you see this fight going down?
As long as we're both in there, I think from the minute it starts to the minute it finishes, it's going to be fast, explosive. He brings the fight, I'm going to bring the fight to him. But ultimately, I want to put him away. I've had 2 decisions in my last 2 fights, and I don't like to be known as a guy who wins by decision. I want to put him away, and I'm sure he wants to put me away as well. So it's goal and makings of a good one, that's for sure.
Jack?
Sorry, go on. I was just going to say, obviously, you and Corey, both Welsh fighters on this card. Would it mean a lot for you to be able to, you both take away the victories on Saturday and bring the UFC to Wales?
Yeah, look, the more success every Welsh fighter has, the more chance we got of convincing Dana to find us a venue in Wales. So me and Corey get 2 big wins here. You got Mason on the roster. You got a handful of guys now who are on their way through that could possibly be in the UFC within the next 12 to 18 months. So the more of us, the better. And obviously, the more success we have, the more chance. So yeah, of course I'm rooting for Corey as well. Big win from both of us. Who knows, 12 months. Maybe we can pull him down to the motor point or something like that.
Hey Jack, how you doing, bro?
Well, good, Abs. How are you? Good to see you in the media room.
We made it, baby. Uncle Richard, how are you?
How are you, Abs? All good, bud?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Obviously, a lot of us here, a lot of us in the UK, we know how good you are, Jack. And a lot of people in America now will be starting to look at you and think, yeah, this guy is the real deal. Do you feel like this fight in particular is a big moment for you, like a breakthrough moment? Not just in terms of breaking the rankings, but just in your career, this is like a big moment.
Yeah, 100%. When I came up in cage, I was always known as this guy with a mental following. Wherever I fought in Wales, London, Belgium, there was always hundreds and thousands of Welsh coming to watch me. And I get the UFC and I have 3 of my 4 fights behind closed doors. So I think this will show to everyone how big of a star I am or can be over here. And it's a perfect type of fight. Timur's in a very similar situation to me. He's got a lot of guys riding eye on him. He's got this hype around him. Incredible record, incredible resume. So if I go out there and take him out like how I think I can, then people are going to realise the level I'm at.
And do you feel that Timur is your biggest challenge so far in the UFC?
Yeah, without a doubt. Skill wise, record wise, he's a tough Russian. They're all tough from that area of the world. So 100%.
And just on a side note, about 8 weeks ago, I was saying to you that, yeah, I'm going to try and do this weight cut with you. So this morning I weighed 139 pounds. But I'm trying to have a bit of fun the next few days. So can you let me off, or do I need to make this weight with you?
136 Friday morning, 8 o'clock, Abs. So I win the bet.
Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Jack, this is your fourth fight in a row where you've had a replacement fighter come in. You know, you've very much shown you're a company guy, and you're undefeated on a 4-fight UFC win streak. What do you need to do to get a ranked opponent? We feel like we've been caught as fans calling for you to get ranked opponents for a long, long time. So, do you think next up will be a ranked opponent after this fight?
I mean, I hope so. I thought it would have been last time, and then obviously we had the late replacement and everything. I mean, that doesn't always help. You get booked against. I mean, my last fight was booked against the other Nurmagomedov, and I think a win there probably would have pushed me towards the rankings. But with the pullout and stuff, it's going to be hard for him to rank me off the back of a guy who's come off the Ultimate Fighter. But at the same time, I can only fight who's in front of me on the day. So, fingers crossed. This is the one. This is the one to finally get the last Welsh guy to be ranked was the Welsh GOAT Brett Johns. So fingers crossed now I can follow in his footsteps after this fight.
And obviously, Brett had a lovely win recently. How is the mood in camp at the moment? Surely it's in a good place, especially with Brett's victory.
It's been brilliant. You know, since after Christmas, Brett and Scott have been in camp. Myself, we've got a shared load of guys fighting next weekend, amateur guys. So the morale after Brett won is just giving everyone that boost to finish camp on an eye. And I'm looking to do the same thing here. You know, I say it again, we might only be from a small little town where we got so much talent coming through the gym at the minute. And I generally believe in like 5 years' time when all the youngsters turn over and start climbing those pro ranks that there'll be a UFC Wales every year. It won't be a case of can we bring them to Wales. It'll be a case of what date's the Welsh show going to be this year.
That's brilliant to hear. And last question. One thing that helps with getting those ranked opponents is a call out. I know it's not normally your style, but have you got a name in mind who you might call out?
Yeah, I got a couple. I think I'm going to have to call because I just seen Bisping on the BT show saying he's going to slap me if I don't. And I don't want to slap off Bisping. So I got a couple in mind. I mean, we'll see how the fight goes, how it plays out. But it'll be respectful like I always am. But, you know, it won't be... it may not be as controversial as Paddy's. Some of Paddy's might work. But I've got a couple of names in mind.
Nice one. Cheers, mate. All the best.
Jack, down here, you said that you've got a couple call-outs in mind. So would it be fair to say that you've mapped out the ideal 2022 in terms of frequency, competition, and the competition that you face?
Yeah, I want to be active and I want to be going up, not back. You know, I don't want to be fighting guys who have less UFC experience than me. I want to be fighting these ranked guys. And I want to be fighting guys that obviously push me towards the top of the division. So 3 fights in this year would be ideal. And if I can end the year in the rankings or even in the top 10, I mind the top 15, then in my eyes, that'd be a successful year.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.